Hey, welcome to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Derek Wetmore, Judd Zulgad. We're here to talk about quarterbacks. It's mock draft season.
Hey.
Phil Mackey.
Is that Phil?
Thanks for joining us. We're here to talk, NFL mock drafts is kind of all the rage and has been for months, but here we are 3 weeks shy of the draft. We're almost to the point where this stuff starts to matter, if it ever matters at all.
Yeah.
And the most recent one we saw was Mel Kiper, who had the Vikings taking Blake Bortles, the quarterback out of UCF, at number 8, and then a linebacker at number 40.
Do you think it's possible he just forgot? Like, he's doing his mock draft, and he gets to, 28, and he's like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I forgot to put Bridgewater in here. Well, I don't really want to erase all this, so I guess I'll just put him in the second round and justify it in the paragraph.
So what if he does his draft in ink? Like, he writes it down, he's like, I can't erase this.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just going to give him to Houston anyway.
Right.
Well, so it's possible he could slip like Aaron Rodgers, but I like how he puts in the mock draft. If I could write in trades, I would have someone trade into the first round. Well, why can't you write in a trade?
Why
can't?
It's ridiculous. You got to be true to his sport.
Did you guys know that of all the mock drafts, like the McShay, the Kiper, whoever you can find that does a mock draft, a good success rate is like 8 out of 32.
Yeah.
First round.
Awesome.
So it's just these are all BS. It's the only thing we have.
I did 1 or 2 for the Star Tribune. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because you're never right.
Plus, did you talk to executives and stuff, or did you just figure?
I just tried to figure it out. I looked at other mock drafts. Well, who's gonna? Come on. Back to the point.
And furthermore, if you are talking to front office execs, why would they tell you anything in the 2 months leading up to the draft?
All right, listen, Mel.
Okay, we're taking Bridgewater number 1, but I want you to write that he might go to the second round.
Don't tell McShay.
Right.
But Bridgewater's going to fall to us 33.
Now, do you guys like doing multiple, 5 mock drafts, or do you like Mayock's deal? Mayock, who's actually pretty good,
Just picks one.
1 mock draft.
Yeah,
and he hasn't done it yet.
No, it'll come out the night before.
That's a better approach.
Yeah.
But I guess I wanted to get your guys' input on, Judd, you wrote a column for 1500ESPN.com on whether or not the Vikings should gamble with a quarterback in the first round. I've been hot and cold on it over the past season based on how their quarterback played out throughout the year, but it sounds like you're steadfastly against taking a quarterback.
I've been against it pretty much for a few months, and more than ever now I'm totally against it because here's my contention with the guys who try at mock drafts, unlike myself. Kiper, McShay, those guys, they're not right lots of times, but they talk to lots of people. And the last mock draft, 3.0 for Kiper, had Bortles going 4 to Cleveland and Manziel going 8 to the Vikings. And now he's flip-flopped them. Manziel to Cleveland at 4 and Bortles to the Vikings. Look at every mock draft that's worth its salt. They're taking almost every quarterback available out there. So if these people actually talk to people inside the league, which I think they do, we now know that nobody inside the league knows what to make of this quarterback class. And if I'm the Vikings and I need defense as bad as they do and I cannot swing and miss on a quarterback, I don't touch this class. Until second or third round when I take a guy like McCarron, it'd be much more comfortable.
Yeah, and if, let's say, you're sitting there at 8. I brought this up on the show today a couple hours ago. If you're sitting there at 8, to me, for the Vikings to draft a quarterback at 8, they have to be sitting when the team at 7 makes their pick. Let's say there's 2 quarterbacks on the board. Let's say it's Bridgewater and Bortles, like Kiper has it. You have to sit there and think to yourselves, wow, I can't believe this guy is sitting in our laps right now at 8. We have to sprint to the podium and draft this guy. If you feel any less excited about that guy at 8, if he's available, just pick the best defensive player, plug that hole, because there's a better percentage chance that defensive player is going to work out if you're only 60% sure about the quarterback, because you're choosing from cornerback, linebacker, a number of different positions. And then go get Mettenberger or McCarron or whoever winds up being Garoppolo in the second or third round.
And the point on defense is important, too, because the chance that they fail entirely is so much lower. You can have a guy, say, Justin Gilbert, just to pick a name, come in, play, and if he's not a superstar, it still is serviceable, and it can help your defense, can help your team. If a quarterback comes in and isn't a superstar, or even one of the top-tier players, you really haven't taken a big step forward from the current plan. And if you don't think that you can take that big step forward, then you're wasting drafting a quarterback.
Well, and think about this, too. Ponder in 2011 or now.
I'd rather not think about
here's my point. If you swing and
Ponder
miss,
washing his hair at CVS.
If you swing and miss on this pick, you haven't just misjudged a quarterback. You have forfeited a draft pick, a high draft pick.
Right.
And this team needs far too much help to say, well, we think Manziel might be the guy. There's red flags here and there. No. Phil, you're right. You have to be sure. Now, what I would do if I'm the Vikings at 8, since it sounds more and more like somebody, one or two of these guys will fall to them, at 8, what I do is I call a team that needs a quarterback and say, we are going to take Johnny Manziel, no question. But
We really are. Trust us. We're about to take him.
We're giving you. I'll do it. We're giving you the first chance to take Johnny Manziel. Give us 2 draft picks. To me, there's nothing better than if you're the Vikings, than going back in the draft, getting more picks, and trading out of that 8 spot. I don't see the risk being worth it. And I'm sure one of these guys will be good. I have no idea who that guy is, and I don't think league executives know.
Do you guys think it's a problem that we, right now, in 5 minutes, and pretty much everybody else, is just operating under the assumption that Matt Castle's going to be fine all year?
No.
I mean, Matt Castle might not be fine all year. In fact, there's a coin flip chance that he's going to be terrible by week 7 if you look at his career.
But here's the point.
So what?
But here's the point. There's one of two directions that this coming season will go for the Vikings, and I have no problem with either one. One is Castle surprises you and you pull a repeat of 2012. You go from 3-13 and you're awful to 10-6 and you surprise everybody. But if you don't, who cares?
Right.
And if you don't, and you still don't have a good season and Castle's not good, but your defense gets better and gradually is coming along, then you can say, we're rebuilding, and people aren't going to mind that. What you can't do, to me, is you can't force this and say, if we don't find our quarterback of the future in this draft, it's over for us, because that's what they said about the Ponder draft, and that was a completely wasted pick.
You have to draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, I think. Would you guys agree with that?
I have no problem with it, but if it doesn't work out and it's a 3rd-round pick, I'm also not sitting there saying, oh my God, what did you do?
And at least if it's a 2nd or 3rd-round pick, now you don't have to play him at all in the first season. If you draft a guy 8th, then it's almost like, well, if Castle has a bad game in week 5 and you're a game below 500 or something, well, then you're likely to maybe throw a guy into the fire because he's making that much money.
And keep in mind, too, if the Vikings can develop a good defense with a pretty good offense, and in a year or 2 things are going along well, worst case, they've done it before. You go out and find a quarterback. You go in and plug that guy in. I would rather do. The problem with the league right now is the trend is we got to find our quarterback of the future, which is great in theory. If you can find that guy for 10 years, God bless you. But the problem with this league is we all get so fixated on what certain teams are doing. Yeah. And so, you know what? As painful as it was for some fans, Brett Favre came in, plugged him in for 1 season, and you got a hell of a season.
It's funny, like, to make a baseball comparison, it's you have to find an ace.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's not that easy. It's if you're depending on where you're drafting. 2011 is a great example. We have to find a quarterback of the future. Well, we're drafting 12th, and there's already 3 off the board, right. So we can take a chance on this guy who we're maybe only 50% sure on, but he's the only guy available.
Right. Or
we can wait a year. And a lot of teams, there's a lot of pressure to not wait a year, which is what the Vikings might face in a month from now.
But the baseball comparison's perfect. This whole notion, you have to find an ace. Yes, you would love to find your quarterback of the future. But the worst thing you can do is be like, this guy, Ricky Nolasco's the ace. And if he's not, well, no.
I mean, it's like 1,500 ESPN's looking at their roster saying, okay, we got to find a show of the future.
Yep.
Well, I guess Mackey and Judd, I guess.
What they've been saying is we got to find Judd Zolgad a partner.
Yeah, right. That's what I was going to say.
All right, well, I guess like Phil Mackey's on the board, but...
And if you get him a young guy and he fails in a year, like whatever.
What we're saying is 1,500 ESPN needs a better defense to offset me.
I think that'll just about do it. Thanks for coming to 1500ESPN.com. We'll have plenty of draft coverage in the next 3 weeks leading up to the NFL draft on May 8th, the first round. The NFL is now a year-round entity, and good gosh, I can't keep these guys on a leash. Thanks for checking out the video. Phil Mackey, Judd Zolgad. I'm Derek Wetmore. We'll see you later.